state nuclear company. So we were actually we assigned a framework agreement to build out the network of this all around Asia. After a few months, their leaders changed, the president changed, their policies changed, saying, guys, we will not spread out anymore, we will focus on Russia. So we took it on ourselves. It became a 100% private investment initiative that time. We fully stepped in to fully fund the project. There was no company, no project. We did all the studies, all the market studies behind it on our own. Even the market study, which is supposedly split 50-50 with the Russian partners, they couldn't come up with that. They were afraid of going to jail or going to whatever. So we had to do it ourselves. I'll go back to RadTech and TonFat later. But again, it was a quite crucial endeavor. So, this is the design of our facility. It was actually inspired by the TonFat facility in near Ho Chi Minh, Vietnam. This facility was actually specially built for the frozen seafood industry. There was about 12 to 13 facilities that time. The people behind this knew the whole industry on the back, so they were like, we feel there's a gap for a frozen seafood facility. And sure enough, we went there, it was full. They were growing, they were expanding. So we were like, oh, this might be a good model for the Philippines. So we got to know RadTech, who helped put up this facility. And again, they helped us from the design up, conceptualization, design, all our questions. We probably had 100 questions that time. We didn't understand the business. So they really helped us. Up to today, it's now operational. So again, it was pretty much modeled after this facility. It's a 10 MeV linear accelerator, 15 kilowatt power, with estimated throughput of 20,000. This is on the low dose, about 3.5 kilogram products. Fully operational in August 2024. We got our FDA license in May 2024. It's aligned with ISO 9001 and 13485, although we haven't gotten that yet. Timelines, just sorry there's an erratum here, but actually we started October 2019 after Rosatom left. We did a market study. The first market study was actually pointing to rice, mangoes, bananas, things you don't see on a commercial scale now. And again, I think it was quite off. The first market study was a bit off. When we did our rounds to Vietnam, Thailand, I think this opened up our ideas of just actually sticking to what's known. We incorporated our project company in 2021. We started our construction in May 2022. We didn't have the funds in place then. It was really a risk that time. China Bank stepped in Feb 2023. So at that time, it became 100% private facility. Actually, at the time, we had two offers for funding. It was Land Bank, the largest state government bank, and China Bank. So I think we were quite impressed about China Bank knowing how to do it in a project finance, whereas Land Bank were asking, send us your complete bill, how much are your air cons, how much are your tables. So we're like, this is not going to work. So we had to go with a private bank who understood this project finance mindset. We got our license in May 2024 and fully operational from August 2024. So if you see our timeline, we actually finished it in 2.5 years. From project construction, this was a quite good timeline. We could have done it about 2 to 3 months earlier, but the waveguide component, the first time our engineers encountered some breakdown of that sort, but we were able to change that equipment. August 2024, we started. This was the products we were looking at. So again, this is more of a representative of what PNRI was handling at that time. It was really the herbs and spices. A little bit of the medicals, but it was really purely herbs and spices mainly. And I guess we were looking at expanding into this medical device segment, gloves, IV bags, the usual candidate products for e-beam sterilization. Today, we are talking to pretty much everyone in industry in these industries. So from medical manufacturers, food processors, herbs and spices, pharmaceuticals. So these are our wide product types now. This is in essence how our facility looks like. So we have a beam and the boxes go under. So the conveyor and the beam is fully customizable in such a way that the dose that each box will receive is tailor fit. So as Suresh mentioned a while ago, it's fully customizable. You can give it a dose of 0.5 kilogray, 3 kilogray, 10 kilogray. We can do that. Again, we're limited by our conveyors, so this is actually the maximum product size that we can handle. It's a constraint of the actual conveyors. So we tell our clients, please give us your boxes at the maximum dimension of this. Also in the site is we have a cold storage. So again, this was modeled after Tonfat, although I think Tonfat, when they built, had 10,000 pallets of cold storage because they were clearly established in frozen seafood and frozen fruits. So we decided to at least put a small component of this, a 560 pallet position cold store of 2 rooms, just to be able to really handle these cold chain products and dry storage. As of today, we have 0 of these cold storage customers, but we hope they'll come very soon. So our process, we're actually decided to be, we're a high throughput sterilizer. So it's just more of a just-in-time process. You can schedule, give us a call, we'll give you a schedule. If the facility is open, we can take you that same day, the next day, and you can even wait for your products. So we actually advertise a standard turnaround of 3 business days. But if we're not really full, most of our clients now are same day. They wait for it, the trucks come there, we do the sterilization, we do the quality control, 4 hours we release. So it's savings also on the logistics side for these customers. Key challenges we faced on the regulatory side, it was actually harmonizing regulations from government agencies involved in this field. At that time, it was PNRI, FDA, and DOH. Although our main regulator now is FDA under the DOH, but PNRI was very crucial. We actually learned from them. I think we camped out in the leading facility of PNRI for about 1.5 years, just learning. Engineers going there, learning each corner of the facility. Policy advocacy and technical consultations were a help. So actually, without early talks with this, we don't think it would have been possible. So it created an enabling regulatory environment. We did this regulatory thing more of a proactive approach. There were no clear guidelines on what to do, but we went around these regulators saying, guys, these are all our plans, please approve it. Because I think at that point, the regulator, it was the first time for them to approve something like this as well. For the client side, most clients lack awareness of standards and the technology itself. EP was very new to them. And again, building trust required consistent education, demos, and patient onboarding. We really had to give successful business case models for them to be able to believe. Employees, we're proud to say, I think we're fully staffed today. We have a very lean team of about 22 people, and I think we're ready to trot on that. But at the start, again, it was tough. We really relied on a lot of PNRI support. I don't think we pirated everyone. Some retired, so it wasn't direct coaching. But I think it's been a pretty good partnership since. How much did it cost? So I think we're looking at a project cost of about $950 million or about $17 million today. This was funded, $550 million in equity, and China Bank came in for the balance. We told the banks, this is the first in its kind, we told the banks we will fill up in 4 years. So actually, I think we're in the first year, we have 3 to go. I think we're pretty comfortable, but again, we have to navigate the next 2 to 3 years as we fill up the market. But we closed out at about we're looking at a total project cost of 950 million. Most of it is really on the site development, the buildings, the cold storage. Actually, the turnkey supply is quite small. Uh, Turnkey supply. So again, we go back to that. Where did our accelerators come from? They really came from Russia, but it was packaged under a turnkey supply with the Vietnamese. We were supposed to sign our purchase with the Russian directly, and then the war broke out. So you're like, guys, what do we do? So we had to be creative with a scheme to actually force it through Vietnam, where Vietnam does the order, and then if they it all worked out. The Russians are able to go to our facility about once a year now, just for periodic checks. Actually, for the past year, it's been seamless operations. Our team has been running in condition as advertised. So what we've learned, I guess it's important to engage regulators early and build mutual technical capacity. We're navigating an environment where people were not familiar. There were no standards for bunker approval. There were no standards for security. It was all pretty much spelled out, and we made regulators appreciate this. Strong collaboration with academic and research institutions. So we really partnered with UP, UPLB, academia on this. Policy frameworks still lag behind. So as mentioned also a while ago, I think most of our standards are really replicated from the US FDA and the Codex. It's still the same today. Vietnam, a while ago, our partners there presented about 20 enabling resolutions for them to navigate. I think we have none of that now. Our regulations are more silent. It doesn't explicitly say that this is allowed. It's more of you guess where you can go. If it's not written, then I guess it's legal or something like that. But I think for the best practices of industry, and this is where government regulators can help. I think we need an enabling, proactive regulations to really give our ultimate customers the leeway, the take-off room on. It's clear to them that we can do this. This is within legal standards. So yeah, what's next? Visibility. We're looking at targeted visibility at medical, food, and seafood industries. We attend expos, technical conference. We make sure, or as much as we can, we go up the stage and do technical talks in these expos. It's door-to-door client engagements, all the targets. We've profiled all the possible adapters of this, and we've given cold calls, door-to-door visits. And, there's a long way to go, but I think we're picking up. For evolving technology, we want to drive industry and regulators in adoption of technology such as e-beam. So PNR has been very cooperative from the very start. I think even FDA, we did not have a hard time licensing this facility. It was all above board, all in their online platform. I think 3 to 4 months we got the license. So it wasn't, frankly, it was a breeze. So thank you to our regulators here. Growth and expansion, I guess, what's next after this? So we hope to fill up this facility. If you see our facility tomorrow, actually it's 2 plots of land beside each other. So we have room to build another line should our market fill in. So our existing land has space for 2 e-beam lines there. Once we've proven the market from the first line, you can quickly build that second line. And then after that, we'll be happy to build nationwide on where we feel it's needed. There's a wide range. We have about more than 100 million people in the Philippines. So outside the zone, I think some candidates can be Davao, where the seafood and fruits are, maybe Cebu. So we'll see. After we've proven the market here, I think we'll know better where to go, where to locate the next ones. Research and development, we want to step this up. So again, it's part of our thrust also to invest in this. It's really a collaboration between industry and academia. PNRI with their research arm has been very supportive from the start. We've offered also PNRI guys, as long as our beams empty, please just send your materials to us. We'll be happily much as we can accommodate it, we'll give it for free. I think also now, just to note, I think in other countries, they charge about something to the tune of about $5,000 just for initial testing and compatibility. So we're waiving this for all our clients now. We're just like, guys, send us your materials, we'll run all the tests for you. Although this costs us, I think for the long term, this is where we can really increase our visibility and exposure to the targeted clients who actually want this technology. We also want to increase our trade and cross-border collaboration. So this isn't about catching up, it's about staying competitive. So we want to learn from global best practices. And hopefully, it's a strategic opportunity to position the Philippines as a regional irradiation hub. It's really building a whole ecosystem, whole of industry approach, government, private, academe, private sector, and international stakeholders. It's as mentioned also in the talks a while ago. Just to wrap up, so we've seen regional success stories. Vietnam and Australia was presented a while ago. Very different. I think Vietnam ships all their export through sea, where you see Australia who ships everything through air. I think medical devices also hasn't been touched on much, but most of North America really is focused on medical devices the way we see it. Our facility, just to maybe explain a bit, our facility now can handle everything except phytosanitary. So we're not geared for phyto today, but if this market fills up, we have space, we can do it. But right now today, our facility is not really for phyto, so it's more of the other e-beam applications. And again, we realized e-beam is the first private facility, but this was really built on years of groundwork by PNRI. So honestly, without that 2.5 accelerator, without that model showcase facility, without having initial customers there, I don't think this would have been possible. So this is really, again, cooperation, proactive dialogue with our regulators and partners. So yeah, we want to shift. PNRI was built for research, but we're ready to capture the commercial scale application. Whoever can be serviced by PNRI will be happy to take it on. So it's not just about the machines, it's about cleaner food, faster trade, and quality exports. Thank you.